Today is August 31st, 1962. Thanks for joining Channel 1 News today. We have just received word that Khrushchev, Prime Minister of the Soviet Union, has set up a Soviet nuclear missile base in Cuba, a mere 100 miles from the American coast. It's been 3 years since Fidel Castro came to power in Cuba, and this small island off the coast of Florida has had friendly relations with the USSR ever since. If anything else occurs between these two countries, we will keep you posted. Thank you and good night. Today is October 5th, 1962. Thank you for joining us today. Today we will take a poll. If you think the government should take action in Cuba, call 1111-YES. If not, call 1111-NO. We will post our results tomorrow. Now turning to music, the British Beatles made their first recording today. They're a big hit in Germany and the same is expected for America. Thank you, good night. Okay. Today is October 6, 1962. Thank you for joining Henson Channel 1 News today. The polls have shown amazing results. 71% of the population wants the government to take action in Cuba. The other 29% of the population wants the government to take no action in Cuba. Today, science fiction writer J.G. Ballard published his book, The Drowned World, expected to become a national bestseller. Thank you and good night. Today is October 13th, 1962. Thank you for joining us tonight. An announcement from Washington, D.C. says, any menacing Soviet military change in Cuba will cause the United States to do whatever must be done to protect its own security and that of its allies. An attack on Cuba would certainly mean war. We will keep you on post of any other events that occur. Thank you and good night. Hello, today is October 15th, 1962. Thank you for joining us tonight. A U-2 spy plane has detected that the Soviets are constructing medium-range ballistic missile sites in West Cuba, putting U.S. East Coast cities in jeopardy. Khrushchev says the missiles are for defense purposes only and to deter any invasion of Cuba. Today's a very special night. We have a little kid named Erik from the coast of Florida who said he would take a question. Erik, how has the Cuban Missile Crisis affected your family's life?
My mom and dad, they built this underground house, and when Cuba sends a missile over to this country, America, then we'll go in our underground house, and we'll live there until the missiles explode, and we won't die because we're underground, you know, and we'll all be okay.
Thank you, Erik. And that's all for tonight. Good night. Today is October 18th, 1962. Thank you for joining Henson Channel 1 News tonight. The naval blockade has grown in popularity over the past few days. Those who favor the blockade are calling themselves doves, while the people who favor on an airstrike are calling themselves hawks. Both groups, however, support the president in rejecting a diplomatic approach to resolve the crisis. The administration could have presented its photographic evidence to the Soviets, enabling them to reverse the buildup without any confrontation. Good night. Thank you. Hello, today is October 22nd, 1962. Kennedy has chosen the naval blockade as a solution for the Cuban Missile Crisis, but has not ruled out an airstrike. If the blockade fails, an airstrike still might be taken. Today, the Seattle Post-Times has printed a report on the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now we will take you to the
government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. The characteristic of these new missile sites indicate two distinct types of installations. Several of them include medium-range ballistic missiles capable of carrying a nuclear warhead for a distance of more than 1,000 nautical miles. Each of these missiles, in short, is capable of striking Washington, D.C., the Panama Canal, Cape Canaveral, Mexico City, or any other city in the southeastern part of the United States, in Central America, or in the Caribbean area.
A clip from Kennedy's speech concerning the Cuban Missile Crisis. Thank you. Good night. Hello, today is October 23rd, 1962. Good day. Tonight we will take two polls. If you support the blockade, call support. If not at all, call oppose. For our second poll, if you think World War III is inevitable, call 111 War 3. If you think it'll end up in a little shooting or nothing much at all, call 11S Hoot. We'll post our results tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching Henson Channel 1 News. Good night. Hello, today is October 24th, 1962. The results from our polls have come in. 84% of our callers support the blockade, with only 4% are opposed. 20% think our World War III is inevitable, while 60% fear only a little shooting. The naval blockade to effect at 10 o'clock, sending an aircraft carrier, 3 cruisers, 16 destroyers, and 150 additional ships. Khrushchev still claims the missiles are for defense purposes and to ward off any invasion of Cuba by the United States. Good night. Hello, today is October 27th, 1962, Henson Channel 1 News. Khrushchev has sent 2 letters to Kennedy. Do you believe that you have the right to demand security for your country and the removal of such weapons that you qualify as an offensive, while not recognizing this right for us? Khrushchev says in one of his letters, he proposes that an agreement should include for USA to remove its missiles from Turkey and Russia remove their missiles from Cuba, with pledges that the United States and Russia respect the integrity of the frontiers and sovereignty of those 2 countries. Kennedy then promptly ordered the missiles in Turkey to be defused to prevent accidental firing. Good night. Hello, today is October 28th, 1962. Yesterday, 8 o'clock, Kennedy sent a letter to Khrushchev proposing for Russia to dismantle and remove its missiles from Cuba under UN supervision. In return, the United States would terminate the blockade and promise not to invade Cuba. Thank you for listening. Good night. Hello. Today is October 29th, 1962, Channel 1 News. Yesterday, Khrushchev announced that he accepted the Kennedy proposal of the 27th, requiring that the Soviets withdraw its missiles from Cuba. Thank you. Good night. Hello. Today is November 20th, 1962, Channel 1 News. Just recently, Khrushchev has informed the President that in 30 days, all the missiles will be removed from Cuba. This marks the end of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Thank you for sticking with us through the Cuban Missile Crisis. Good night. Hello. Today is November 20th, 1996. Channel 1 News. Looking back 34 years from this date, the Cuban Missile Crisis ended. If Kennedy had not taken a stand against Khrushchev, you and I could have both been blown up by nuclear missiles. Thanks, Kennedy. Good night.